morning, good evening, and good night to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another... Bro, my mouth. Good morning, good evening, good guys. Welcome back to another episode of the good old Channel 69 News, ladies and gentlemen, where I bring you the latest and greatest news from all of our favorite games on the good old Roblox. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, we actually got a good amount of stuff and some good information. We got some Greenville, Southwest Florida, as usual. Then we also have some MRT and as well as one little leak from another game, but it's kind of like irrelevant. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate every single one of you for coming back to this week's episode of Channel 69 News. I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to get straight into this. Actually, first, before we get straight into it, you know what I mean? I'm going to read some comments. First, we got Clouds0901. He said, I feel like they call it rims just to make you mad. Low-key, I kind of feel that way, too. I feel like they're, because, you know, they're not called, they're called wheels. Anyways, next comment, we got Tyler Fratternut. My dog peed on the TV while we were watching this. Okay, that's just diabolical. And then last comment from Simmerings. Actually, I'm not going to read that comment. This is like an Anthrax comment, but this is even from Anthrax, which is... But yeah, that's all the good old comments for today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into... let's start with MRT. Before we get into MRT, actually, I'm going to go over the little game leak. Ladies and gentlemen, this is from Driving Empire. As you guys know, I don't play that game a ton, but I thought this was pretty cool. This is posted on my leak channel by E, but I thought it was pretty cool enough to cover. So obviously, it says Driving Empire. You got little bro walking into a Mark V Supra. Ladies and gentlemen, Driving Empire has got their hands on a Toyota license, which I gotta say that is absolutely insane. I mean, we all know that Driving Empire has a lot of car brands in there. There's a ton of car brands, but this is one of the bigger ones, I'd say. So that is pretty cool. I'm not gonna make a video about it, but I will check it out on stream sometime whenever it comes out, because, you know, I do want to check this out. I do kind of see what the cars are like and what they're added, but it's literally the same thing every time. It's just like driving around an arcade. Now we'll get into some MRT. So first picture here, it is kind of dim, but Kato brightened it up for us. It says dual cam 16 turbo, and he also sent another picture. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be a Toyota MR2. Great, absolutely fantastic car. Now, like I said, every single MRT leak, take it with a grain of salt. Updated over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, we got tires. We finally got different tires, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously, if you go into the tuning shop, you can go to the tires. You unlock it for like 1.5 million, or sometimes I think it's just free. But there's drift tires, alternative tires, and then stock tires. Now, I went into the game and tested it out a couple times, and the drift tires, they kind of help, they kind of don't. I don't know. I barely noticed a difference on drift tires, but also had a very weak and underpowered car. I think I did on an S13 Coupe and then a Toyota 86. So yeah, I think I need a little bit more power, but I think if you get enough power and tune it right, you can actually drift these things pretty well. I just have not spent the time doing that. Next thing, they also changed the logos for all of the cars as well. They kind of updated them and refreshed them, made them look a lot better. But yeah, this was like actually like a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think, is when they updated this. But here's a whole list of all of the logos. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I believe this is a Diablo leak. This looks like the front end of a Diablo, maybe fictionalized. I actually don't know. And then last but not least for MRT, ladies and gentlemen, in game in Mount Atsuki at that gas station across the street from the tuning shop, I believe is where this is. The 22B remodel. You gotta say, this thing looks pretty good. This thing's definitely in need of a remodel because this model looks stinky. That's it for MRT. Just a couple things. I'm gonna go over some... Actually, I'm gonna go over Greenville. I'm gonna say Southwest Florida for last. We have a lot of Southwest Florida. I'll say that right now, but Greenville first. All right, so we don't have a ton of Greenville, but the first Greenville leak we have here is... Actually, I have no idea what this thing is. I either want to say it's a BMW or a Mercedes of some sort. Maybe like a C-Class Mercedes or something, or maybe a... Next thing, though, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. We have a DOT sign trailer. So it looks like we might be getting some cool DOT trailers, which I didn't even think of that. This is probably just one of hopefully many. Don't know what other kind of DOT trailers we could get, but this is actually pretty cool. We got a nice little sign trailer here. All right, and then last leak for Greenville, we have a Saab. This is definitely a Saab because the file name is Where My Saab Fans At, and it just looks like a Saab. Yeah, unfortunately, that's it for Greenville. We actually don't have a ton for Greenville this week. My assumption was wrong. I thought we were going to get a May update, but May is over. There's no update. So when's the next Greenville update? Not sure. According to the good old roadmap for June, it says new licensed content update plus smaller content updates plus more. So I'm guessing we're going to get another licensed car this month. as well as smaller content updates, maybe so like a building, or I guess content updates could be that DOT trailer thing. That'd be kind of a smaller content update. Smaller content is very vague, very generic, very general. So that could mean many things. Guess we'll have to wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. It is June, so expect a Greenville update sometime this month. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for some Southwest Florida. There's a lot of cool stuff and cool leaks for this week's episode of Channel 69 News for Southwest Florida. First thing I'm going to get into, ladies and gentlemen, huge shout out to Solar for absolutely cooking on this document here. But if you guys are not keeping up with the Sneak Peeks channel, I posted a document made by Solar where he took every single location from Southwest Florida leaks pictures and put them on a real map of that area where Southwest Florida is going to be. So it's like Sarasota, Florida, as well as a couple other little surrounding areas in there. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have the document linked in my Discord. So join my Discord, go to Sneak Peeks. The document is just going to be right there. It's going to be the most recent picture. Hopefully, if not, scroll up a little bit. I'm going to post it again. I'm just going to reply to the message. Go in there. You can download the document and take a look at this for yourself. But I'm just going to show you guys here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. But ladies and gentlemen, it is just a PDF file. Southwest Florida projected revamp map. And it is an educated guess based on all the official leaks from Strategic Development. Solar is not a dev or anything. He's just a fan of Southwest Florida and, was curious where everything was going to be. But look at this, ladies and gentlemen. All of the red dots are where leaks have been posted. So obviously, I'm going to go to number 1 here. Number 1, this is where the leak is. This is where it is on the actual map in Sarasota. So essentially, you could take this document and go to this area and you could see these exact things. And I don't know how close and accurate these are to IRL, but I'd imagine it's pretty accurate. The area is probably very similar. But this guy absolutely cooked. There is a whole, like, 46 pages of all of this. Now, most of it is just pictures, yes, but they're all coordinated on the map. So, number 17. Let's go see where number 17 is at on the map. Well, it feels like I'm in a school playing, like, a scavenger hunt game. 17 right here, right next to the water. That's pretty cool. Also, the unknown areas are where they haven't had any leaks or where the map probably ends. And, obviously, there's a yellow border here as well. This is where he thinks the map is ending. Also, with the ones with the yellow inside of them, this is where clear barriers are shown in the map. So I'm going to head over to 53 right now. And we're going to take a peek at this barrier here for the end of the map. So I'm going to blow up the picture. You can see the barriers in the bottom left. Now, I'm not too sure if this is just here for decoration or if this is really a barrier for the end of the map and you can't really go past this. Kind of like, the map just ends. Hey. But yeah, he did this for 3 different areas in the Southwest Florida map. So first we have downtown Sarasota with all the leaks. Next area of the map is St. Armand's, or the south side of St. Armand's. And then we got the St. Armand's north side. And then that is basically it. So different parts of the good old Southwest Florida map. Now, huge shout out to Solar. This guy absolutely cooked this document. Super easy to follow and super detailed as well. Like I said, go to my Discord, go to the Sneak Peeks channel, and you can see the document for yourself if you want to experiment. But let's get into some leaks, ladies and gentlemen. We've been seeing some Murcielago leaks, ladies and gentlemen. We got some more Murcielago leaks. Murcielago SV leaks. Gotta say, definitely fictionalized, but it looks pretty good if you ask me. Also, more 190E pictures, ladies and gentlemen. We actually got a full car now. It doesn't look to be done yet, but the front end looks pretty done. The rear end is getting there, definitely. But I gotta say, this thing looks freaking good. Good looking car. I love the front end. The headlights look great. I don't know what it is. The shape of the headlights, like, really just work with this car. My mouth stopped moving. Also got a GMC Cyclone, or the Typhoon, or the Cyclone. Typhoon. It's the same freaking car. Like, one has a little bit more metal in the back than the other. We got another little map leak somewhere. You can't really tell where this is at, but it looks like kind of like a... That's actually very interesting. That's like a photo studio, maybe for cars. Like, this is maybe part of a dealership or something like that. Because if you zoom in here, you got little chunky boy right here. But what he's standing on is like a white, like, kind of curtain, like, draped over looking thing. Like, where you place a car for pictures. That looks pretty cool. This might be the inside of, like, a dealership or something like that. I'm not too sure. Some other pictures we got some of the inside of the courthouse or something like that. This looks like a courthouse or like a courtroom or something like that. You got Chunky Boy right here too as well. Got another little picture of what I'm guessing to be as like a garage. Now, some of you guys are probably thinking this is a gym, but this is not. This is not a gym because there's like a workbench over here. And there's some flags up and pictures of cars on the wall. This is definitely like a garage. Like, I wonder if this is a house or garage is like a house or something like that. Also, speaking of dealership, we got some more pictures of maybe a leaked dealership. We got an STO. We got another maybe Huracan on the left. that yellow thing, and then the Jeep on the right. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into some chat logs. So I'm going to go to just kind of the center because I'm not going to put them up on the screen because it's not easy. It's hard. All right, lots of chat logs here. So Bad Dev said we will completely redo weather. And then K1N said the sun is confirmed for the South Florida revamp. Well, that's actually pretty cool. I was really hoping we would get the sun. Gamburger, he is one of the car modelers. He said the next cars I'm making are the R35, the R33, and the Chiron. He also said some other chats about the Chiron. He's making all the trim levels of the Chiron that are in the game now, which we have the base Chiron, I believe. And then we have the Chiron, the super fast, like 301 or whatever it was called. So I think it's just those two. I'm not too sure if there's any other trims in the game right now. Correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments. Next thing, we got Duckum. He said, yeah, that'd be me answer. I don't know what they're talking about before. He said, just don't let the turn from the PD from the main intersection at the bank intersection happen again. That light takes forever. He's talking about when you're coming down from spawn and you're at the bank and you're about to kind of pass Sunset, that little intersection right there. Kai revealed we have a sensor system in the works that is for heavily trafficked intersections. So it'll default to a green light for the main trafficked intersections, but only trigger for red for the side street when someone pulls up, which that is actually super cool. That is such a super small feature, but it actually helps out, and that's actually good for RP. Also, speaking of stoplights, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a fine system. They were talking about a bunch of other stuff, and Duckham said, is there an automatic fine system? And he said, yeah, certain intersections will have cameras. So there's going to be freaking speed cameras or red light cameras at certain intersections. Also, he said running red light fines will be disabled for EMS with their lights on. So if you're a cop and you have your lights on, you can go through the intersection without getting fined, which that is actually really cool. A red light system, a red light camera fine system will be insane. And I hope you somehow, like, I don't know if they have a system like this, but like a mail system or like an email system where you get mailed like a picture of your car going through the intersection with the camera look, or like a video email to yourself from your phone or something like that. I don't know. That would be kind of cool just to kind of get some free rollers in your car. You know what I mean? And then last thing, you guys are all about your AFK grinding in Southwest Florida right now. Some of you guys are AFK grinding like crazy, but this is confirmed. AO Panda said what's the actual verdict for AFK grinding? Is it going to be weaker or removed? And Kai said it is going to be nerfed. Plus, it's going to be buffed for those who actually a job. So you can AFK grind, but it's going to be really low and you're not going to get much money. But if you actually, you're my fault for the language, but if you actually W your J word, then it'll actually be buffed for you and you'll get more money than you were if you were to AFK grind. Now, speaking of the money, I'm not going to include these chat logs on the screen, but they were talking about money. There will be a cap for the game when you transfer all of your data over to the new revamp, because it's basically going to be like an entirely new game. This is not going to feel like Southwest Florida at all. It's going to be Southwest Florida, but it's going to be completely different. But Kai said that the cap will likely be high enough that it won't even be noticeable, and he said several hundred million is what they're talking about. So if you guys are worried about how much money you're gonna have when you're transferred, you'll be able to keep several $100 million, which is not even, you're not even gonna be able to notice that at all. If you have like $400 million, they're probably gonna keep your $400 million. That's, I guess, if you have $1 billion. If they decide to lower the cap or something like that and you don't have a lot of money, well, guys, looks like you're actually gonna have to play the game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's episode of the good old Channel 69 News. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally got a lot of good Southwest Florida leaks. Most of them were chat logs and just information about the game itself, but I think it's pretty useful information. I'm super excited about the Southwest Florida revamp, dude. I'm really excited to see this. I don't know when the Southwest Florida revamp is. Nobody knows. I'm just not even gonna talk about it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate every single one of you for watching this week's episode of the good old Channel 69 News, and I'll see you guys next time.